The way to know which direction these foils go is, so you've got a leading edge of the foil or the wing, right? Think of it like an airplane wing. One side of the wing is a little bit more blunt edge. One edge is much sharper. And so the sharper edge should always go towards the back of the boat, okay? So we're simply gonna hold this in here, and we've got a pin that literally we're gonna slide in, and we're gonna let this hang, okay? We're gonna attach the strut to that piece. So Andy, I'm gonna get you to help me hold that part. Now I'm just gonna put this pin in just a little bit. The next step in the process after we put the strut on is we're actually gonna go ahead and put the taco bracket on. So what we're gonna do first is we're going to put this screw through here, put the other side of the bracket here. This one actually does have a lock washer on it, so we don't use Loctite on this one. And this taco bracket, obviously, it's going to be a little bit loose right now, and that's totally normal. You'll see that once we complete the steps, everything will sort of tighten up. We're going to put this in here, and this is why, another reason why it takes 2 people to complete this process. This 2-inch square tube is crossing at least 2 of these cross members here. That's going to help spread the lifting force across the hull of the boat plus the deck. And so that sort of distributes the weight of the lifting force. We want to make sure that this strut is basically straight up and down on the boat. And so let's go ahead. So Andy's holding a level there. Does that look pretty good?
Yep.
Okay. So I'm putting, upward pressure to hold this here. And we're simply just going to mark a line here for where this post meets this bracket here. What we're going to do now is we're going to take a measurement. This beam here to the first mark is 18 inches. So we're just going to copy that up here. Go ahead and put a marker in the center of where you want your bolt to go through. Okay, so I've got a mark there, and I've got a mark here. So we know that's where we're going to want to drill this bolt through. And we're simply going to draw a line where that is. We do the same thing here. And I'm just going to make it so that I know exactly where that location is all the way around. It's always helpful to know on this post here which is the front and back. So I just simply put an arrow towards the front of the boat, and then we're going to put this post back in here, and we're going to put everything back to where we were. Let's get the lines lined up. The other little trick is, and what we're trying to accomplish here, trying to get all the markers made so that when you drill all these holes, you can do it on the ground, because it's way easier to do on the ground compared to trying to do everything up in the air here. I'm just going to draw a line that tells me where these 2 holes need to be. Two things. Safety glasses, especially when you're looking up, these bits are coming down. All the bits that we use for this particular, it's a 3/8 inch bit, but the hardware is only 1/4 inch. It's oversized for a reason. It's going to make this whole job a lot easier for everything to line up. So we'll feed this through, and then on the back side of that, we'll put flat washer, split washer, and then of course the nut. Okay, so let's go ahead, and before we tighten everything up here, we're just gonna tap these pins in here. So let's go ahead and do that, and then we'll tighten this up. So at this point, we can go ahead and lock these in place. I'm gonna just hold this up, basically so that this plate is flat. This screw here, this strut is a hollow extrusion. So you don't wanna crank this one down because it'll crush this strut here. So we're just gonna get it tight enough to lock the lock washer, and that's it. One thing to just keep in mind as you're tightening up these screws is these little slots will allow you a small amount of adjustment to either raise or lower the tips of these foils so they line up. So before you lock all these in place, just make sure that the tips of the foils look about the same, right? We locked them in on the same on this side and tighten them up and you're good to go. So before we hang the rear foils, if you have any excess glue that's sticking out like this little piece and you just want to kind of clean it up, you won't be able to cut it with a razor. So I just get my my grinding tool and just touch it real lightly just to kind of knock that down. If you start with this top back screw, it makes it much easier. There is a left and a right side fin for this. The same is true for the front fins. There is a sharp edge, which is the back edge, and there's a more rounded edge, which is the front. So just keep in mind that the sharper edge always goes towards the back. So once you put that top back screw in, I just kind of go around from there and do the forward top screw and then do the bottom ones. It's just way easier if you kind of have that routine. So when you're installing the rear foils, you'll notice that, you know, there is the ability with this gap here that you could rotate this foil on this plate to change the angle of attack. But we've done, you know, testing on positive and negative angles of attack, and it really doesn't matter. So what we recommend is just make it just straight ahead. Basically make this white top of the plate just consistent with this plate here. So in other words, it's just a 0 degree angle of attack, and that's what we recommend for every boat, regardless of your horsepower or size of the boat. There may be a small gap where maybe the structural adhesive, when we were attaching the plate, did not squeeze completely through. And so there might be a little area where water could actually get behind that plate. So I'm gonna go ahead and I'm just gonna fill that in with the structural adhesive before we run the boat.